Hi, this is Steve Lentini, and I'm your host for Different Thinking for Different Times, Season 5, Episode 3. I like to start every episode with a quote, and today I'm thinking of a few actually from the Dalai Lama and from Gary Zukov. So the Dalai Lama said, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. And then he said, our prime purpose in this life is to help others. And if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. And what I find fascinating about that is my experience when I passed from this to what's next. You know, I call death what's next, and I don't think we should call it death. But that being aside, how do you feel when you do good? And this is what the Dalai Lama is talking about as our primary purpose in life. That's something that most humans, listening to their acorn brain, even my own, by the way, constantly judging other people's journeys, their choices in this life, right? Here we are living in an infinite universe, but because when you come down to this micro level, the earth, we have challenges every day, and the acorn brain, we choose to let it run us often. And so here we are making determinations about other people's lives. And really, it's none of our business. Your only business is your own life. Here's something Gary Zukov said. He's still with us, by the way. And I'm taking this from my book, Sage Advice, Wisdom for Living from Throughout the Ages. I'm not selling books here. It is on Amazon if you Google Sage Advice by Steve Lentini. But I'm sharing some of it here so you don't have to buy the book. By the way, if you email me, I'll send you one. I'll give you the email at the end. Gary Zukov said, when the deepest part of you becomes engaged in what you are doing, when your activities and actions become gratifying and purposeful, when what you do serves both yourself and others, when you do not tire within but seek the sweetest satisfaction of your life and your work, you are doing what you were meant to be doing. And humans, for the most part, we just want to find a way to escape life unscathed, I say, right? We're any resistance in life, we want to tell a story about what happened to us to others. We want others to listen. Often people around us will one-up us. Well, if you think you had a bad day or a bad week, listen to what happened to me. Most people gather evidence to prove that little story in their head is true instead of looking for the gift. When I left this life from intensive care over 20 years ago, there was no place where I left off and God or the infinite began. It was immediate. I was one with everything and nothing. No body, none of the acorn brain, thankfully. I think of that day, that moment every day, multiple times a day. Because when the acorn brain tries to run me, I remember it doesn't go with us. It's only here. And any thoughts that are small-minded are not what awaits us. For those that have listened all these years, you know, I say that if we all got a peek, we wouldn't be so petty. And I hope you all live a long, long life. I hope you don't experience what I did before the podcast ends. And if you do, I hope you come back. I hope you're asked the question like I was, stay or go. And this universe is so amazing. We have no idea what we live in. We have no idea the power of our thoughts, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it might be that because I always thought of burning in hell as stupid and dumb, and the idea of sin was a way to control people, especially if you think about history, kings and queens in medieval times. It was always about control, but there was no mention of my sin when I left my body. And certainly I call them mistakes. Certainly I made mistakes, but it's small minded to think not only will you make mistakes, but you'll burn in hell forever. And wishing that or hoping others would experience that for their mistakes means you haven't come to grips with your own mistakes. Gary Zukav goes on to say, when you have an emotional reaction to what you see, you are judging. That is your signal that you have an issue inside of yourself, with yourself, not with the other person. If you react to evil, look inside yourself for the very thing that so agitates you, and you will find it. If it were not there, you would simply discern, act appropriately, and move on. It's up to you whether you want to develop a level of thinking above that thinking and begin to look where you're so small-minded, the acorn brain, or as Rainer Maria Rilke, who's in the book as well, he called that voice the little hooligan. It's up to you. Will you live small-minded, even small-minded in your thinking about what you want in life? When you listen to that brain, that acorn brain that says, who, you, not you, you'll never write a book, or you'll never be famous, or you'll never be happy, or you'll never be wealthy, or you'll never get that house that you want, you'll never have the job you want, you'll never do what you love, you just have to punch a clock. None of it is true. There's science behind, by the way, the psychology of positive thinking. People have been studying it now for a number of years. And that's something you can prove to yourself. First, you have to accept responsibility for 100% of what you've manifested in your life up until now. You are the sum total of all your thoughts, words, and actions, the choices you've made, which is fine. There's a gift in all that, helping you to decide you'd like something else. But then it's about asking clearly in your mind, not going to the supermarket and say, I'd like to be doing what I love, fulfilling my purpose, earning so much money that I have plenty to spare and share. You just ask yourself. You could share it with a loved one, people very close to you, only those that would support you, but start asking. It's in the Bible that all you have to do is ask. So think about, what is your default pattern? Is it self-limiting and small-minded? If it is, the beauty of it is you can change it. The Newtonian law of manifestation was picture it. Think about it. Place yourself there. Visualize it. The Einsteinian idea was to love the moment. Love the moment. Love life. Know that there is no place where you're disconnected from the essence that created this universe, whatever did. As you know, I experienced no religions, no sexes, no sexual preferences, no mention of sin, none of the things that we judge people by. Certainly, we've gotten so small-minded, even our leaders are pointing fingers at themselves. They have no accountability. They just make each other wrong. And I say each other because there's only two major parties in this country, in the USA. We should have 4 or 5. So a dialogue would be required to have a majority. And we as voters, the electorate, we have a responsibility because we are not electing people who are responsible because we've allowed our acorn brain to be enrolled. Well, someone's wrong because we're right. And that's in my book. You might be full of shit if. Of course, Amazon wouldn't let me advertise it. They published it. Even my dog agrees. They wouldn't let me advertise it, so the next weekend I changed it a little bit and I wrote, "You might be full of number 2. After all, we know better, the woke edition." If you bother to read them, I don't make anyone wrong. What I talk about is all the areas where we've become so small-minded. But it hasn't been just recently. Cicero, in around between 350 and 275 BC, said, "Politicians aren't born, they're excreted." So small-minded thinking has been with us. It's something to overcome as a human and to begin to look at how you have predominantly manifested everything in your life, including attracting the people around you. If you would define them as all negative and Debbie Downers, then that's what you are. That's your predominant thought pattern. But the beauty is, as soon as you change, you'll see a different response, and you can prove that to yourself. In my new book that I'm writing, In Plain Sight, the subtitle is Learn to See What Most People Miss and Embrace Life as It Is. I talk about humans understand resistance if they're running, training for a marathon. The extra distance they add builds their endurance. If you're going to the gym or training for a sport, you know that if you add weight, add repetitions, add different exercises, you're building your muscles. Why is life any different? Resistance in life is building our muscle for living. And what I found by working with people and coaching people is that those with the biggest desires, biggest pictures for their life, those who have decided to make a difference in this world, and I'm not just talking about money, I'm talking about people who've decided to live their passion, make a difference. They announce what's inside of them, as Christ said. If you let out what's within you, it will make you. If you don't, it'll destroy you. And I'm paraphrasing what Christ said. It was in the Gospels of Thomas, which of course weren't published because they weren't put in the Bible because the wisdom of the time was no one would follow the church if they understood that Christ was a big thinker. What's within you can make you. If you don't let it out, it can destroy you. But that's up to you. That's the beauty of this existence. I judge no one for living the way they live. I can't say I've always done that, but thanks to that experience, on November 18th, 2002, 1 second in intensive care, the next second, one with everything and nothing, one with the infinite, one with God or the goddess, the divine, the Brahma, the Buddha, the Abraham, the Muhammad. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's only small-minded thinking that has people of one religion trying to kill people of the other because they disagree. They don't believe the way that they do. I mean, think about how crazy it is. In an infinite universe, there would be one way. Yeah. Not At least that's my experience. You can judge me if you like. You can email me. You could even be a guest here. If you email me, Steve at Steve Lentini, that's Lentini, L as in Linda, E-N as in Nancy, T as in Tom, INI.com. Steve at SteveLentini.com. You can be a guest. You can challenge me. Because I suggest you never follow anyone or anything blindly, especially since you can prove things to yourself. You can make your life grander, bigger, infinite, limitless. And you can start right now and see what happens. That's up to you. That's the beauty of this existence, the free will that we all have. You can make it a joy. You can be a miracle for others. Let's say you wanted to have a miracle in your life. Start where you are and be a miracle for others. It's amazing when you do little things for people, what happens and what unfolds, but you have to prove that to yourself. The other day I gave a few extra dollars, $4 to the gal at the convenience store. She said, "What, for me?" I said, "Yes, we live in a miracle." Then I said, "Well, give me this scratch ticket right here for $20. And she gave it to me. I don't ever scratch the blocks. I don't buy them every day. I buy them when I get an intuition. And she scanned the scratch here to cash area. That's all I do. Took 10 seconds. And she looked at me and I thought, oh, a loser, huh? She said, no, you won $200. I gave her another 20 as a tip besides. We're not taking anything here with us. And wherever you're hanging on to things tightly, whether it's an opinion or money or judgment, you're limiting yourself. That's the fascinating thing. When I started sharing and giving more came. And now, after the experience of the infinite, when people knock on my window or on the street approach me, I give them what they ask for. If it's a tank of gas or a sandwich or some money, often I surprise them with how much. Then I say, thank you, universe. Thank you, God. For me, it's God. It's simpler. The infinite life force, the creator. Thank you for allowing me to serve you, because I know not when what's next will come for me again. Just ponder some of these thoughts. Try it for yourself. See if you can notice how small-minded your thinking is, how limited it is. Where do you see the horizon as flat, like in the days of Columbus, when sailors were afraid to sail with him because they thought for sure they'd fall off the earth if they went further than where they could see the horizon is flat. But that's a human condition. It hasn't ended. We still all see the horizon as flat from somewhere. See if you could just be happy in the moment, allowing people to have their journey. Because it's truly none of your business, their journey. Your journey is your business. Start looking at how you created it. Okay, I gave you my email, Steve at stevelentini.com. Email me, send me your address. I'll mail you a book. Whether you want sage advice or you might be full of shit if, or maybe you prefer the woke edition, which has poo head and number 2 and crap instead of using the word. I'll send it to you as a gift. If you'd like to come on the podcast and challenge me, remember I might just ask you, does that sound like small-minded thinking? Thanks for tuning in.